Ozempic, Zepbound, Mounjaro, GLP-1s have exploded in popularity. But what are the long-term impacts? Why is there such stigma surrounding those who use this medication? And how exactly does it work? On this episode of Real Talk with Micah Smith, I talked to a patient, a doctor, and a therapist who all have experience with what's been dubbed this miracle drug. Welcome to Real Talk with Micah Smith. I am your host, Micah, and I am so glad to have you with us. Today we're talking about something many people are curious or concerned about: GLP-1 medications like Ozempic or Wegovy for weight loss. GLP-1s or glucagon-like peptide-1 medications are prescription drugs that help people manage appetite and blood sugar. They're often used to treat type 2 diabetes, but more recently they've been approved and prescribed to support weight loss. They've been found to transform the health of people with obesity by reducing hunger and suppressing the food noise that can make it difficult to lose weight. A Kaiser Family Foundation health tracking poll found roughly 12% of American adults have used these drugs at some point, and another 14% were interested in using them. While these drugs have been a game changer for many who have struggled to lose weight, there's been a lot of backlash against them, with critics calling it the easy way out. The stigma is often fueled by a misunderstanding of obesity as a failure of willpower rather than a chronic medical condition. So to help us understand what it's like to use these medications, I talked to Caitlin Stabile, who's been using a GLP-1 for about a year. Caitlin, thank you so much for joining us for this Real Talk. My first question for you is, what made you turn to a GLP-1 as a weight loss management tool?
So I've always struggled with weight loss in my childhood and my adolescence. I had a gastric sleeve in 2023, which was great. I think that was part of the tool I needed, along with the GLP-1, to really accelerate my weight loss. So after I lost 50 pounds with my gastric sleeve, I was impatient, to be honest. I was like, I want to lose more. It's not fast enough for me. So I talked to my doctor and we decided to start Zepbound, which has been amazing.
Yeah. Can you talk to me about how it makes you feel, the good and the bad?
In the beginning, there was a lot of nausea for me, a lot of gastrointestinal issues. And I really had to listen to my body as far as doses go, because they start so minimally, and those are great. And then you start to see results as you get higher in doses, and then you want to keep going up and up and lose more weight. But I had to listen to my body and stick to a dose I was comfortable with until I was ready to up a dose when I saw those like side effects subsiding.
Yeah. When we talk about GLP-1s, a lot of times we talk about food noise and how it helps eliminate the food noise. Was that the case for you?
It really does. And I think, like I said, listening to your body there, you can be on a dose that's too high, which happened to me. I wasn't hungry at all, wasn't eating. So I talked to my doctor. I'm like, I feel like, I'm getting not malnourished per se, but definitely not what my body needed. And we decided to step back on the dosage, which really helped.
Wow. When I look at your before and after pictures, Caitlin, absolutely amazing just to see how you have transformed. You're beautiful before, you were beautiful now. But mentally, how do you feel when you look back at where you came from and where you are now? That has to be a mental and emotional journey.
Absolutely. I don't even know who that person is. I've maintained my weight for a year now, with still the help of the GLP-1. I'm on what they call like a maintenance dose. So I don't take it every week. I take it every other week right now. Looking at those pictures, I never saw myself like that in person. I never thought I was that overweight or unhealthy. So looking back is crazy.
What's the total amount of weight that you've lost?
I've lost 120 pounds.
Wow. That is so much weight. One thing I want to ask, and we've talked about this we will talk about this throughout the episode, is stigma. There seems to be a stigma surrounding GLP-1s, and that's caused I know my loved ones to not necessarily want to talk about using this as a tool because they are so afraid or just disappointed in the judgment. Is that something that you faced?
It is. I heard it a lot from my family, you're cheating, just eat healthy and exercise. I've had 4 kids. I'm so busy. I do eat healthy. I do exercise. It just wasn't helping. And obesity truly is a disease. I have tons of, history in my family of obesity. And a lot of my family members have done the GLP-1s and the surgeries, which have saved our lives, to be honest. So I think I was nervous coming onto this interview because I'm like, oh my gosh, everyone's, gonna know my secret. Anyone that asks, I never am like, yep, healthy eating and working out all the time. It's my new life. I tell them I had my surgery. I use a GLP-1. And I hope this really does help end the stigma because I think it is a life-saving drug.
Yeah. When you talk to your loved ones who make those comments, what is your response? Do you kind of try to battle back, or are you just kind of like, you don't understand and that's okay?
Yeah, more the latter. You don't understand, and that's fine. I'm an adult. I'm going to make my own choices. You're going to have your own opinions, which you're rightfully so to have, but I know what's best for me and my body.
What would you say to our viewers who are watching who really need to make a choice? They need to figure out how to get their weight under control because, as you said, in a lot of cases, this is a life-saving measure. What would you say to them if they're on the fence because they are afraid of being judged?
You're not doing this for anybody but yourself. And for me, for my family, I wanted to be able to be more active with my kids and set a good example for them as far as, healthy habits and taking care of the bodies we were given. So yeah, I would just say talk to your doctor and figure out what's best for you personally, and don't worry about what anybody else has to say.
And Caitlin, would you say your weight loss journey is over? Is it complete now that you've reached your goal?
It's never over. It's a change in lifestyle. And what the GLP-1 has also taught me is how to eat better, how to listen to my body, if I'm feeling tired, okay, I really need some protein, if I'm weak, I need to put into my body what my body's asking for instead of just, oh, I'm hungry, I'm going to grab, whatever is there. So I think both the surgery and the GLP-1 have given me a new tool for my new life. So I don't think it's ever over, but I'm happy where I'm at right now.
Well, Caitlin, thank you so much for being courageous and willing to share your story. I know that it is going to resonate with so many of our viewers. So thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us for this Real Talk.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Wow, Caitlin's transformation there, absolutely incredible. And I know there are so many stories like hers out there. We have heard how life-changing GLP-1s can be for people. And next, we're going to break down how they actually work. Coming up, I'm talking to a doctor about what these medications really do and the responsibility that comes with them. This is Real Talk with Micah Smith. Welcome back to Real Talk with Micah Smith. Today we are talking about GLP-1 medications like Ozempic and Wegovy. You just heard they can be life-changing for many people when it comes to weight management. To be clear, these medications are not a magic cure though, and still require significant efforts and lifestyle changes to see lasting results. There's also still a lot of confusion out there about how they work and who they're for. To better understand the science, the risks, and the responsibility that comes with their growing use, I talked to Dr. Frank Shea, who specializes in bariatric surgery and has many patients who are finding success with GLP-1s. Dr. Shea, GLP-1s have exploded in popularity. What would you credit that to?
I think the fact that the American adult, we suffer so much obesity here in our society that we need tools to fight that off. For example, it used to be that 4 out of 10 adults suffered obesity, but now it's jumped up to 7 out of 10 despite in the era of GLP-1 medication use.
Wow. Would you say that this is a miracle drug as it's been branded by a lot of influencers and people who have found success with it? And also, can you just break down exactly how it works?
Of course, we have to be very careful when we say miracles. However, this is the most powerful tool that modern medicine has devised to fight obesity. Prior to GLP-1 drugs, we really didn't have anything other than surgery as an option to treat severe obesity. So that's why GLP-1 has been accepted widely by the medical society to treat the disease of obesity.
And how exactly does it work? I know that's going to be hard to explain in just lamest terms, but if you can, I think it's important to actually tell people this is how it works in your body.
GLP-1 drugs attack obesity hormones. It turns out that obesity is a very complex disease involving multi-hormones, and these are obesity-specific hormones in our body. They're not estrogen or testosterone. These hormones regulate the size of our body fat production, and it's when that the mechanism goes out of control, it leads to excess fat production and obesity and its diseases.
There are some critics of GLP-1s, and many say we don't have long-term studies to show the long-term impact. Some people say, oh, it can damage your kidney, it can damage this or that. In your medical opinion, what would you say to those who are critical, especially when it comes to the possible long-term impacts?
Of course, any medical therapy, whether it's medications or surgery, has risks, but it's actually offset by the benefit that we see. And the risk of medications is like anything else. And also, GLP-1 drugs has been around for decades. It's not just in the past several years, but it's been around since 2000. And we have good long-term track records with the medication. And so far, it has proven to be safe and not dangerous. And the impact, the benefit of weight loss from the medication has profoundly benefited our society.
Right, because this started out as a diabetes, or drug to treat diabetes rather, right?
That's correct. Like most things in medicine, this was found by accident. It turns out that these drugs used for diabetes also led to weight loss, and hence the revolution in terms of weight loss treatments.
All right, Dr. Shea, I'm going to do something a little unusual. I want to take some social media concerns that I've been seeing, that I know a lot of our viewers have been seeing, and I want to ask you about them. First thing, body positivity movement. There was this huge boom starting about 2020 with influencers saying, love your body, be exactly who you are, you were fine, you don't need to change a thing. GLP-1s enter the scene, and we're starting to see a lot of those same influencers kind of turn toward the GLP-1s, from Oprah, Serena, to just everyday influencers. What do you think about that change?
I think that's been one of the most unfortunate aspects of our society and culture. There's some kind of a blame and shame when it comes to obesity. But people have to realize our loved ones, our friends are suffering obesity because it's a disease, not because of some kind of a personal moral failure or personal willpower issue. It is a biological disease that got activated, that plays between genetics and environment.
My other social media issue I want to bring to you, a couple of social media influencers, specifically in the fitness space, have dropped a lot of weight, said that they were doing it the natural way. Then it comes out they're on a GLP-1. One person excused this away saying, oh, I'm just microdosing. I personally hadn't heard that term before until I saw this on social media. Is microdosing a thing? And if it is, who would benefit from that?
I think there's various stages of obesity that we have to distinguish. There are people who are overweight. For example, they need to lose about 10 to 20 pounds. And then there are people who need to lose 100 to 150 pounds. So clearly they're different. But I think microdosing is a necessity because these drugs are so out of reach for most of us. They're very expensive, even now, so that you don't have an unlimited fund to pay for these. So if somebody's goal is to lose 10 to 20 pounds for a time frame and then go off the drug and then come back to it, that's kind of like microdosing. Or do a lesser dose and see lesser weight loss and then come back to it to make your dollars last longer, especially in today's economy. So I think that's where it comes. By the way, in terms of exercise, most medical studies have shown that exercising does not work for tremendous weight loss. Okay, so it only works for the Olympic athlete and professionals who spend days, throughout the day working out. For the rest of us mortals who can only work out 1 or 2 hours a day, it doesn't work. Now, that's not to say that give up exercising is great for our heart and our sense of well-being. However, if you fail to lose a lot of weight from exercising, well, don't despair. It's because that is not designed to help you lose a lot of weight.
Okay. And speaking of cost, how much are we talking for a GLP-1 a month?
We're still, despite discounts from manufacturers, we're still looking at $500 to $1,000 a month. And that's why it's out of reach for most of us. But there are now movements to push that drug prices down to more affordable $250 a month. And so hopefully the government contracts like Medicare or Medicaid will step in and help us cover these drugs to reach out to more people.
And finally, for those who are on a budget and are turning to compounded forms of GLP-1s, what would you say to them about how safe these are or the results that they might get?
I sympathize with us who have limited funds and can only afford compounded drugs. However, they're not FDA authorized, so be aware nobody can really assure you what you're getting. Even the pharmacists that you trust from your neighborhood, that drug coming from overseas, they really can't know what that is. So it could be, for example, fake insulin and so on. So be careful.
All right, Dr. Shea, thank you so much for joining us for this Real Talk on GLP-1s.
Micah, thank you.
Yeah, Dr. Shea, so informative. There's just so much to know about GLP-1s. And GLP-1s are helping people reach their goals, but the stigma surrounding them can still weigh heavy. So coming up, I'm asking a counselor how to handle the pressure and comments from loved ones, especially this time of year. This is Real Talk with Micah Smith. Welcome back to Real Talk with Micah Smith. This episode, we've explored how GLP-1 medications are changing how many people approach weight management. But along with that progress comes something harder to measure, and that is stigma. A study published in the International Journal of Obesity found that people viewed a woman using these medications more negatively than one who lost weight through only diet and exercise, regardless of her body size. And with an added focus on food and family as the holidays approach, that stigma can feel even heavier this time of year. I spoke with licensed professional counselor and certified eating disorder specialist Kate Daigle with Kate Daigle Counseling to find out how people can navigate these feelings. So Kate, my first question for you, people experience pressure about their bodies year round, but how can the holidays make that pressure even stronger?
Very important question. I think the holidays are put pressure on all of us in many different ways every year, especially focusing on appearance is one that you might find prevalent when you haven't seen family members or loved ones for maybe a whole year or at least several months. And a lot of people, whether it's society talk or just normal talk, focus on appearance, like, oh, you look so great, or you lost weight, and pictures being taken, memories being made. It's a really happy, special time of year, but also a lot of pressure on appearance and connection.
There's a ton of pressure. I think a lot of us feel that. And oftentimes this time of year, we hear unwanted comments from family and friends about our appearance. What are some healthy ways to deal with that and respond when those loved ones make those comments on how you look?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, I would say boundaries are important. You don't have to share anything more than what you want to share. Certainly, if you want to share, feel free. I think coming into these events with a positive mindset and even little empowerment mantra, like, you got this, this is going to be a positive experience, just talking yourself through it and how you want to experience that event. Coming into it empowered so that if comments are made or judgments are made, you might have some ammo there to confront that.
Yeah, sometimes it's very important to have that ammo. This episode, we are talking about the growing use of GLP-1 medications for weight management, which can carry stigma. How can someone who is taking these medications protect their mental and emotional well-being when they feel proud of their progress, but they feel really anxious about being judged?
Yeah, again, I think getting support from loved ones that understand why your journey has been the journey, where you've been coming from, and encouraging them to ask open-ended questions and not judgmental questions or assumptions would be great. To just kind of focus on what like your health journey has been and the empowerment. Like, I feel like I have so much more energy, and so I've got all this motivation for work or for my family. To lead with those so that hopefully your family members can see, like, oh, she's really happy about this, or she's just happy in general and this has been a positive experience for her, and to kind of come from that mindset initially.
So if you have a family member who's like, hey, you've lost a lot of weight, are you on Ozempic? You know, they do the, are you on Ozempic? Maybe a good way to respond is, hey, I have gone through a lot on my health journey and it's taken me a while to get to this point. I want to share with you, but I want to feel safe in doing that. Would that be an okay response?
Yeah, you can absolutely put those boundaries out there. Sometimes humor can be a little bit of a diffuser. So you can say, oh, we're at the holidays again, family talk, you know, something just like, here we are talking about food and bodies at the holidays, changing the subject to, yeah, I'm feeling really great. I have a doctor helping me feel healthy and strong. How are you doing? How's your work going?
Yeah. Not all family members are so direct and judgmental, there are a lot of families and friends who support your health journey no matter what you choose to do. When we're talking about GLP-1 medications or body changes specifically, how can those supportive loved ones show their support?
Yeah, again, just having allies with them and having them kind of bring in allies into the fold as well. Maybe educating them to how you would want them to talk to other family members or loved ones about your journey, or just not talking about bodies and weight as a problem at all, but more of like, hey, weight is just one element of health. There's mental health, there's physical health and movement, there's connection and positivity, especially in the world today. There's a lot of stress. So trying to ask bigger open-ended questions again about how are you doing in general, and having that be communicated to everybody in the circle.
I think that's extremely helpful, because I think about all the friends and family members that I have who are on Ozempic or Zepbound, and they have seen a lot of success, and I would never want to diminish them or dim their light for all the achievements that they've made. Finally, what would you say to someone who's feeling anxious about food or body or social situations this holiday season? And I can say personally, I do get some anxiety around food. I'm working out all year. Soon as it's Thanksgiving time, I'm like, oh, okay, I want to eat. I want to have a good time. I'm worried about my body. I'm worried what people will say if I go for my second plate. There can be some anxiety there.
Absolutely, and I would say you're not alone. You and anyone else is not alone. Many people have that struggle and feel shame or the stigma of, again, how they might be presenting, but also the judgment of others onto them also could not be about them. It could be about other people's insecurities. And again, the social dynamics that we're living in right now can be very distracting for that. So you're not alone, and seek support, and also try to enjoy. Like, the holidays are supposed to be delicious and enjoyable food, drink wise. Try to, again, put that positive mindset forward and not let the negativity dictate everything that you're intending to experience that holiday season.
I love that. The holidays are supposed to be a happy time, a time where you do come together with your loved ones. So let's not let some of the conversations around bodies and food choices dampen that. Kate Daigle, thank you so much for joining us for this Real Talk.
All right, thank you.
And before we go, I just want to say that we understand there are many different ways to lose weight. We chose to dive into GLP-1s because they are a very popular topic right now. And we specifically wanted to speak with people who have incorporated this medication into their lives in one way or another. So we hope we gave you a good look at what it's like to either take a GLP-1 or to have knowledge about its effect on you medically and mentally. And that is this week's episode of Real Talk with Micah Smith. We are so thankful that every week you choose to tune in for this Real Talk on issues that impact Coloradans who are often overlooked. If there's a real talk you would like to have, please let me know. You can send me an email at micah.smith@denver7.com. In the meantime, you can find all of our shows on denver7.com/realtalk. Have a great day.